overview of these kind of vague ideas about what would be a better way of doing things. So
no, but I mean, essentially, I mean that's why here, this red suit, which is kind of trying to get the most out of a design, and do what you're talking about, purposely wasn't called eco or sustainable. It was called potential, and that was a sort of, and we played a lot with language to try and get a word that was seen as a positive. This is about getting the most out of something. You know?
I'm looking at an idea of consequence.
Right.
This is, I mean, it might be slightly more negative in a way, but I'm looking at the consequences of things, and it's the consequence of the material. It's the consequence of the business who creates the material. It's the need of the product. Do we need the product? We could make a perfectly sustainable product, or at least an almost sustainable product. But how necessary is that? So there's so many questions within it that could mitigate the need for something entirely. So it's a very difficult, intractable problem, which is something that as a designer, to really get your teeth into and to get into the heart of it, it's something that designers have never had to face, ever had to face, something that's had this level of complexity.
But at the same time, it's almost like if you go back far enough, it's what all inventors, or they weren't even before the term designer, if you like. It's what all problem solvers did. They kind of generated the best solution they could for things. You know, if you go back to kind of basic wheels and tools, you know, the best always evolved.
The best, but it's the question of we having to redefine what's best.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of it is. Yeah, that's what it is. And a show like this is just, you know, it's kind of a head explosion. You know, you come around here and it labels itself as a show in one way. Half the exhibitors, you know, don't show anything. You know, they just want to sell stuff to the building industry. It's a brilliant label. It gets loads of visitors in. But everyone's just making claims about this percentage of this compared to a different percentage of something else, and there isn't a kind of common language or something that as a punter you could make any serious decision about.
It's very, very difficult to make decisions, and as a good example is, let's say